So I wanted to take y'all through a little workout with the havoc arm, and I would consider this a back workout, even though it's lats, lat pulls. And a lot of people have questioned about what I'm working whenever I'm doing pulls, and it's a little confusing because after I work out my arm, I definitely feel it after lat pulls, specifically in my shoulder. But that's because I have such a high amputation level, so it's really hard to isolate specifically my lats, even though I would consider this a lat heavy workout. And here I'm using both arms, lat pulls, and this is only what's that? 25, 50 plus 15, 65 pounds. And some people have questioned the weight limit of this arm, and I know a lot of people reference a New York Post article about it, saying 400 pounds. And I would say that the weight limit is 400 pounds, but that's limited by my own strength. And that's just like how much I've ever tried to lift with it. And that was, just a straight deadlift. But I have broken this specific arm just punching a tree. So, it's since been repaired. The wrist was what broke whenever I punched the tree. And so you don't see me do crazy weightlifting with it, just because the nature of, what the prosthetics limits are. And so, I broke it punching the tree. But on lat pulls specifically, I'm working on just getting stronger and making, longer form content for you guys here on YouTube. And I just wanted to take y'all through a little bit of a workout and show you and demonstrate the motions of the havoc arm. And this is what makes it to me different than any other prosthetics. And I would consider this the toughest prosthetic in the world. And that's to say that almost all knees are metal, right? And this arm is one of the only metal arms, while typically knees are all metal. So to bring something like this to production, is I think is important for all prosthetics, but specifically upper extremity prosthetics, because the other arms that you see me use in any of the videos that are like the blue one or the brown one, they're all mostly plastic. And, I'm pretty critical of why prosthetic arms haven't evolved alongside knees, to the level where they're all metal. And somebody brought up specifically like why robotics companies haven't delved into prosthetics. And I think about that question a lot, even having a little bit of exposure to the prosthetic industry. And I think some of that comes down to the bottom line. Just there's not that many arm amputees, and the big prosthetic manufacturers, for the most part, own majority of the market share. So there's no real reason for them to get into making more expensive upper extremity prosthetics. And like people brought up Boston Dynamics, and to me personally, one of the people that I think would do really well getting into prosthetics would be somebody like Tesla. And that's because a lot of people bring up Neuralink, and I know that Neuralink is a separate company from Tesla, but they have, I think they call them the Optimus Prime robot. They have an Optimus Prime robot, and they are based here in Texas, and my prosthetic was made here in Texas. And so I think that so many people already bring up the Neuralink, and I and not that I would take the risk of getting implanted with the Neuralink anytime soon. But I think that that is Tesla or Elon specifically getting into the medical space, what I would consider like biomedical engineering space. And so I think that if you're already right there with, getting into that space, SpaceX and Tesla, that the jump to prosthetics and to have manufacturing access here in Texas, that would be really cool to be able to get somebody like them to jump into prosthetics, just because I think that they're already getting into trying to improve the physical function of people's bodies. And I know that they finally cleared the medical hurdles with their first Neuralink patient being able to communicate, via email or whatever using the implant. And I think that a lot of the people that use Neuralink would benefit from having access to prosthetic tech from a company like SpaceX, Neuralink, Tesla, because they have the access to their robotic tech, and their robotic tech is already using actuators. And a lot of people confuse my arm for having a hydraulic actuator or hydraulic piston in it, but it's not that. But some people that I've talked to do believe that the motion that is required of an elbow is essentially the same as what is required of a linear actuator. And so for somebody like Tesla to get into prosthetics or robotics, they already have access to linear actuators, and that's not that far removed from prosthetic tech. And I think one of the reasons that I would personally like to see them get into prosthetics, because Elon has a history of investing in companies that don't necessarily are not the most profit driven. And so with prosthetics, the reason other companies haven't improved specifically upper extremity prosthetics to the level of robotics is because profit. You don't make that much money whenever you get into prosthetics, because you have to deal with a long line of bureaucratic hurdles. And so I think that a company like Tesla would be equipped to jump into the space and get a lot of things done that wouldn't otherwise be done. And we're very proud of the fact that this arm was made in San Antonio, and to bring it to production, where a lot of the other companies are manufacturing things, like this arm specifically is manufactured in Utah, but you see the issues with it whenever I'm setting it up. This is by Flower, and all credit to them for making this specific hand. But the majority of the bionic upper extremity prosthetics, hands and elbows and otherwise, are manufactured overseas in Austria and Germany. And those companies are doing good, but they're not, to the level of things like the havoc arm that I have here. And that's for a abundance of different reasons. Caution on their part on not overextending themselves. And then it's very hard for them to change their prosthetics because they have to deal with changing the codes for the insurance companies, and they have to just get approved for changing the colors in their prosthetics.